Hi everyone, it's Yvette Blowitz from SpiritGirl.com and welcome to the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast. I'm super excited to be here with you today in this online audio space and with our very special guest, and her name is Arezu and she's the founder of InspireZu. So she was introduced to meditation at the age of 5 and yoga by the age of 7. She then became the youngest Kundalini teacher at age 14. She has dedicated her life to following this passion through her brand, InspireZu, which is all about inspiring you. She teaches over 10 styles of yoga for all ages, as well as meditation. She loves to travel often, teaching workshops and retreats internationally and for corporate wellness too. She is a certified brain longevity specialist, giving her brain booster courses, which teaches people the power of ancient mantras to bridge the science between spirituality. Her life mission, as her brand of InspireZu states, is to use the mindful practice of yoga as a platform to inspire, unite, and uplift all those who comes her way. She hosts weekly Kundalini fusion classes on Zoom, Saturdays at 11 a.m. PST, as well as bi-monthly Kundalini meditation courses. So now that I've shared a little bit about our beautiful, inspiring guests, I want to welcome you, Arezu, to the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast. Thank you for joining me and everyone who's tuning in globally. I'm so grateful we can catch up today. Can you now tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is such a treat and I'm so grateful to share. I was really lucky, as you said in that introduction so kindly. I started meditation when I was 5. That's thanks to my parents. I'm born and raised here in Los Angeles, California. Both of my parents are actually from Iran, so I'm a first generation. And it was pretty incredible that my parents, being from the Middle East where there's not a lot of meditation and yoga, they were really aware and they wanted me to have these tools. So specifically my mom, Rebecca, she took me to meditation and my soul was just immediately attracted to it. I believe that as kids, we are really in touch with our intuition. And as we become adults, as we grow into the world, we get conditioned and suppressed, and then we lose sight of that clarity and the answers that are always inside of us, and we're often seeking for answers outside of us. So as a child, it's an amazing time to start, and I'm super passionate. I work a lot with kids right now, working with inner city kids and private clients and all types of ages, because they really are our future generation, and it's been the foundation of my whole life, and I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't introduced to it at a young age.
Oh, wow. So when you were young, your mother was taking you specifically to a meditation class, like in a hall or community, or was she doing the meditation practice at home?
Good question. It's actually a center. It's called City Yoga Meditation Center. And they have ashrams and centers all over the world. I'm sure there's one in Brisbane. And it's like, I'm sure you've heard of the movie Eat, Pray, Love or the book. And so it's about that ashram. And so it's a physical space and we have a living guru. So it's a really special practice that is really the root of meditation.
Oh, wow. That is so beautiful. And your mother is obviously still practicing the yoga and the meditation?
Yes, she is, and so is my dad. I think I kind of took it on, and I've dived in way deeper than ever in a million years thought that I would be a yoga teacher, and it has its pros and cons. They sent me to a really well-known university and thought I was gonna have some very expected, Persian community is very doctor, lawyer kind of an industry, and so I took that brave leap of following my passion and doing what I love, and they've come around and they've seen how many lives I've touched and affected, the transformations, and just how blessed we are to do what we love. And so I have their support full-heartedly now.
Wow. Now, I want to ask for our listeners tuning in, we are going through a global pandemic still with COVID-19 here in Australia, in Melbourne. They've closed the borders. They're going back into lockdown for 6 weeks, the second time in lockdown. But right across the world, to so much degree, there's been so much loss, devastation, adversity, hardships. Things are rapidly changing. What we once did and knew is all changing. For someone who's feeling really stressed and overwhelmed, and even like their mood is just down, they just feel just not good just because of the situation, do you have any tips or something they could do just to feel good from within?
Yeah, I get asked this all the time, especially as the months of quarantine have gotten longer and we're all just sitting with ourselves. And I think that if we change our perspective, that's what yoga is all about, is kind of becoming the witnesser, the observer, and changing the narrative. It can really help redefine the experiences that we're going through. And so, you know, I think that we're always, you know, you and I are really busy people, but there's so many distractions and we're always going and doing. But when all those distractions go away, we're left with our thoughts. We're left with just being. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. And so I think if we can just turn that around and say, instead of like, oh man, all my distractions are not possible anymore, be like, wow, this is a blessing. I'm granted this time in my home where I can sit with myself and start to create a relationship with my inner soul, with that inner dialogue, with my intuition. And it's really, you know, when will we ever have this opportunity again? And so I'm really, with my clients, working on helping them really maximize this time and creating a morning routine. You know, the start of our day really shapes the tone of our entire day. And so listening to affirmations, journaling, meditating, doing breathing exercises. If you're listening to this and you're dealing with anxiety, and a breath that I always tell everyone that's really simple. You can even do it when you're driving. In Los Angeles, we have a lot of rush hour traffic, so that's something that triggers people. But if you're ever feeling triggered, there's a breath that's called the 4-7-8 breath. And so you inhale for a count of 4, and you hold your breath, and you exhale for 8. Yeah, okay. We can do it together.
Yeah, I was just thinking, should we do it now so the listeners who are tuning in can join you and I, all of us together, and you can teach us, and this is something we can do. Okay, cool. All right, you lead the way.
I will give you guys. Okay, I'll guide you through a moment to just center ourselves, and then we'll do 3 rounds. And then you guys can see how you feel. So go ahead and just put your phone down. If you're listening, come fully present and just notice your breath. If you can close your eyes, go ahead and just become aware of the inhaling breath. Fill up your stomach with oxygen, fill up your lungs. And the exhaling breath, feel that sighing breath of relief, of letting go of the thoughts, the agenda, the expectations, the worries, the doubts, anything at all. And just allow yourself to sink from the mind into your heart and feel really present with your heart. I'm going to count you guys off through this breath. And when we're doubling our exhale to our inhale, we're calming down our nervous system. So make sure you're breathing long and deep through the nose. Exhale all your breath out, and we'll begin Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding your breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale slowly. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale deeply. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round. Inhale deeply. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the eyes closed. Take a deep breath in and a sighing breath out. And just take a mental note of how your mind maybe feels a little more clear and calm, connected to that space within you that is content. And when you're ready, you can open the eyes and hopefully feel a little different.
Oh, wow. That feels so nice. I feel so relaxed. It's going to be like hard to keep the podcast show going. That was so nice. That was beautiful. What a nice way to just switch off and connect to that breath. And we did the 4 inhale, and then we were holding for 8, and then we went out, didn't we, exhaling. And that's through...
So inhale, held for 7, and exhale for 8.
Okay, so we went inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. And can that happen through the nose and then holding and then out through the nose? Okay, and if someone...
So our breath, I was just going to say, sometimes we think we need so many things, but our breath is the most powerful tool that we have. And you just got to keep that in your toolbox. And whenever you get triggered, just remind yourself and use that breath. And it's incredibly, even if you can't fall asleep at night, a lot of my clients have noticed that it's been really helpful to do that.
If someone is inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth, will that still be as effective, or it's better to inhale through the nostrils, nose, and then exhale through the nostrils? Because I get asked this a lot of times, of people are unsure about the inhaling and exhaling, where to do it.
So, good question. There's a lot of breaths that have you breathing through the mouth. There's Sitali breath, cannon breath, lion's breath. These are all with an open mouth, but those are for different, each breath has a specific goal, a specific reason why we do it. This breath is through both nostrils because our left and right nostrils are our nadi channels within the body, similar to your chakra system. So your left and right symbolize, the yin and yang, sun and moon, calming and energizing energy centers. And so it's really important to balance your body by breathing through both of your nostrils.
Wow. Okay, that's really good. So we can rebalance by breathing through both of the nostrils, and that can have a really calming effect on our brain and nervous system, and help us.
There's another breath called another breath is called Nadi Shodhana, which is alternative nostril breathing, and that's another breath a lot of people are common with, but basically it's the same concept. You're balancing the Ida and the Pingala, the left and the right, and you're alternating which nostril you're breathing in. And there's so many different ways, but as you're saying, we're balancing and causing that sympathetic nervous system, that relaxing experience.
Wow. Now tell me, you became the youngest Kundalini teacher at 14. You started yoga at 7. For someone who doesn't know what Kundalini Yoga is, Can you explain a little bit about that for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kundalini Yoga is definitely a more unique style of practice. A lot of people have never heard of it or experienced it. That's why I feel super fortunate that that was the yoga I was initially introduced to, because I find that it really takes yoga to its spiritual root. It's less of a physical practice. When I was 14 and I did the teacher training course, and it was a 9-month long course, and we go through death and we go through rebirth. There's so many experiences that are really out of body experiences. And so Kundalini Yoga is considered the yoga of awareness. And it was really taught to us for preparing us for the age of Aquarius, which is we're in right now, the Aquarian age, when everything is just flipping upside down. And so Kundalini Yoga gives us the teachings and the techniques to navigate, I like to say, these stormy seas that we're in right now. And it uses mudras, which are movements of the fingers, uses mantra, which are sounds, chants. It uses pranayama, which is breath exercises like we just did, with specific angles of the body. So a lot of times people have heard of the ego eradicator. Your arms are specifically at 60 degrees. Your hands are in a specific movement. So there's very specific instructions for end goal results. And you know, I'm so blessed. I've been doing it for over 20 years to notice that this technology really works. And that's led me into my work with the brain and research information, because we're noticing that there's a specific meditation that has proven to reverse memory loss. So I'm really passionate about how powerful Kundalini Yoga is. And if you're listening and it's always been something that you're interested to try, I highly recommend it. Everyone can always reach out to me and I'm happy to send resources.
Yes, this Kundalini Yoga, I've tried it, done it, interviewed another Kundalini Yoga instructor also, and it transformed her life. The ego eradicator, I have tried that. It was a long time ago. At first I thought, what is this? But then once I did it and got into it, I truly felt that it did eradicate my ego at the time. So we're living in times now where ego, we can get very caught up in ego because we're on social media platforms. So from a very young age, children are learning now how to, I say, size people up, but judge them. Do they like the look of them or not? Do they like what they're wearing or not? Do they like that song or not? Like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So very judgmental. And even as adults, we all can get caught up in self-comparison with using the technology, because it shows how many followers people have visually, how many likes they get. People, it's like a big popularity contest. But for someone who's struggling with loving themselves and they feel like they're not enough, maybe they don't have enough followers, enough people validating you're amazing, you're the best. Any tips on increasing self-love, but from within? Because I'm a big believer it has to start from within, and we shouldn't be searching for other people to validate us. We have to do it ourselves.
Yes, I'm a firm believer of that as well. As you said, it starts within, and that's why I always tell people yoga isn't just what we do on our mats, but how we apply it in our daily life. It's, you know, the movements we're doing externally are a replication of our internal. And so in terms of self-love, I was really blessed. My yoga teacher, GuruSingh, when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, he would always tell me this mantra, which is Hum Hum Brahm Hum. And in Gurbani, it's an ancient language from India. And it means, what I am to be, I already am. And I am who I am. It's basically accepting that which I am right now. And it really is rooted in self-acceptance. And the journey of yoga is about self-acceptance. And so The best thing I can say is to start with yourself. If you're seeking acknowledgement and wanting to, you know, sometimes we're judging others, but then wishing we're not being judged. So how can we really apply what we want others to treat us with to ourselves? There's so much to do with self-love, and there's so many practices, but I love affirmations. I highly recommend, there's an app called Think Up, and it's free, and I record whatever my affirmations are, and it puts it on a beautiful song. And if I remember in the mornings, I like to play that while I'm brushing my teeth, or I have vision boards I like to look at. But really just looking at myself and seeing beauty and seeing the divine, and so that when I see other people, I see that same reflection. I think social media is really testing us, it's challenging us, and we're constantly, as you said, the likes, the followers, even you know, swiping yes and no, and this whole dating world that I just started getting back into, and you're going off of a first second of a photo of someone, and it just doesn't feel right, you know, it doesn't resonate with me, but that's so much of the movement, the direction that we're going in. So we need to stay grounded in ourselves in order to stay afloat.
Wow. So the mantra, first of all, the app you're using where you voice your positive affirmation in, what was that app name?
It's called Think Up.
Think Up. As in UP.
Yeah, it's a, let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah, maybe we could link it in the show notes, but it's really soothing, and you can, it has tons of affirmation. It's a picture of a leaf. It looks like that.
Okay, cool.
So if you're walking.
Yeah, we'll link
it's
that.
a little,
it sounds amazing. So you can do your voice affirmation, you pick a little song, and then you can have that. So affirmations are huge for you as part of your daily rituals. And then when a self-doubt thought comes in our head, in our mind, or we become the observer, but then if it's like, my hips are too big, I'm fat, I'm ugly, we can say, simply be kinder to ourselves, more loving, caring, compassionate, and self-acceptance. We can learn that by practicing yoga on the mat and then taking it throughout our day, and self-acceptance, saying, I am who I am. Powerful, powerful. Now, you are so busy. You're a super, super busy lady. Like, quarantine for you, you live in Los Angeles. So normally that would be 100 miles per hour. But as a yoga teacher, you are always giving so much. But how do you fill then your own cup up when you're giving so much out to other people, so much love, so much positivity, so much light? What are your self-care rituals? Yeah, what does your self-care rituals look like in a typical day, or at the moment, even during COVID-19?
So COVID-19 really has been a blessing in disguise for me, because I went to a point of like depleting myself. As you said, I love what I do, and so sometimes I get carried away, and I'm constantly 24/7. There's no start and end time, and I'm teaching endlessly. I'm working so hard to put positivity and inspiration out there, and then I forget about myself. So this has been really a good reset for me. I have a really beautiful morning practice. I wake up, I meditate right away, and then we journal. And if I have time and I don't have any morning appointments, I'll do my yoga practice, but I always make sure there's movement in my day. It's really good for me to move my body. I know you and I both like to walk a lot, go for jogs. I have recently really enjoyed kind of multitasking. So I go for walks, but it's like when I catch up with voice notes, when I catch up with, if I need to listen to, if I want to listen to a podcast or responding or phone calls, it's been a really good way for me to get outdoors. I just did like 13,000 steps yesterday and I got so carried away because I was feeling so productive. And so for me, feeling productive really helps me feel good. And so while doing my self-care routine is really helpful. And I make sure that, I have 2 days out of the week that are just scheduled for me. I really, go to nature and really connect, ground into the earth and do my own ritual and practices.
Wow. And tell me with when it comes to things you eat, because your skin is glowing. Your skin is so vibrantly glowing. I'm sure a lot of that's coming from the meditation, from the yoga. But in terms of some foods you love to eat within a day, what does that look like for you as a yoga instructor, teacher?
Sure. Yes, thank you for saying that. So actually, Yogi Bhajan, the founder of Kundalini Yoga, has like a whole Kundalini Kriya set, and it's all about radiance. And he always said, if you practice this set, you don't need to do a Botox, you don't ever have to wear makeup, because from the inside out, you have this glow and this radiance. And so I'm glad that it works. I'm glad that it's been working. But yes, diet is very important. I love to have some hot water with lemon in the morning, supports my metabolism, helps, warm foods in general. I spend a lot of time in India and I really believe in Ayurveda and soothing our body. Sometimes I used to love smoothies. I have it once in a while. Right now it's really hot, so it feels good to have a smoothie, but sometimes it could be a shock to the system. So I try not to put ice or anything. But for the most part, I try to follow a vegan diet. I do have eggs on certain mornings, and just really the rainbow. It's so simple, but really making sure I'm eating colors of the rainbow. And my salad, I'm putting vegetables and putting different colors and getting my chlorophyll and getting all my vitamins, my nutrients. I love lentil soup for a source of protein, and just being mindful of my snacking. I'm not very strict about it, but I do intermittent fasting sometimes, just because it helps me not, we're all stuck at home and it's so easy to snack endlessly. So I find that just being mindful of, okay, after dinner at 7 or 8 p.m., I'm not going to eat anything until the morning, and just listening to my body. I used to live in an ashram, and that was one of the biggest takeaways I learned, is to stop eating when you're like 75% full, because it takes a while for your body to catch up and feel full. And that's really helped me not overeat, because sometimes food is so good and you just want to keep eating it and you feel so stuffed, and it's not helpful to your system.
Wow. Now, your rituals, obviously you started the whole self-care journey so young because of your influence of your mum. But for someone right now who's tuning in and doesn't have that positive influence, or hasn't ever had the opportunity to create self-care rituals or discipline, but really, really wants to take care of themselves now because they want to have a sharper brain, good brain health, good mental health, good physical, they want to feel connected, but they still feel like they don't know where to start. If someone was wanting to introduce meditation and some yoga, how could they possibly get started, or how could they show up? Do you have any tips for creating habits for this?
Yes. So first of all, it's never too late to start. I think we always procrastinate, or we're like, oh, I'm too old, or I'm too busy, there's a million excuses. So just kind of wiping that all aside and just committing. Kundalini Yoga is really taught me so much about commitment, about discipline, about consistency. And actually that's what has inspired me. From the start of quarantine, I started offering these 40-day meditation courses. And in Kundalini Yoga, we believe that it takes 40 days to change the habitual patterning within your brain. And if you do something consistently and consecutively for 40 days, that's when you'll rewire the neuroplasticity and the habitual patterns. And so within these courses, every 40 days we've been leading it. We're actually on day 33 of the current course. And I, throughout the course, teach morning routine practices, like before bed routines, how to do self-care, all of my favorite tips. I put that into the course to help people. And I think that it's never too late for anyone to start. And just my biggest tip is to start small. People sometimes will listen to this and they're like, okay, like I'm going to do all of the things. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to journal. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then you might do it the first day, but then you won't do it anymore because it's just too much for you to commit to all at once. So I always say maybe just start with 3 minutes. It might sound silly, but that's what you can commit to. And over time, that's going to gradually grow because you're just going to feel so good and you're going to want to prioritize to make that longer. But it's really in the consistency of it that makes the most difference. So don't bite more than you can chew, as the expression says.
Yeah, consistency. So start small. We know it's going to take 40 days based on the Kundalini Yoga practices to create habit, to create a ritual, but just start, like you said, from 1 minute to 3 minutes a day. And instead of trying to take on journaling, meditation, yoga, affirmations all on the one day and every day for an hour or so, just start small, introduce one thing and then build on it. That is such great advice. And you have done a lot of training in the brain, and we are seeing so much research now coming out, which is amazing, showing that the meditation can help with, like you said, with your memory, with your health and well-being, all of these amazing things. You work with a lot of kids. I'm hearing from a lot of parents that their kids are struggling with concentration because they're so used to flicking and news feeds and everything's instant. So they feel very scattered in their mind. They're also unable to process so much adult content, which is out there on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, you know, like it's adult content, a lot of it. For some child that's going through anxiety or depression or whatever it might be, do you feel that even like if there's a mum listening into this now, or an auntie or grandparents or a carer, a father, that even just like what your mum did with you, even if they practice 1 minute of meditation at home in the evening before the child goes to bed, can that make a difference, do you believe? Or do you have any tips on working with kids and how to get them involved in yoga or meditation?
Absolutely. It's my biggest passion, as I mentioned, to work with kids. And I can, from experience, say that it has hands down changed every kid, every client I've worked with. I've had, I actually work with prenatal, and then I do mommy and me. So from the age of 6 weeks, I start working with the babies with the moms, and then we go transition, you know, once they start crawling, it's a different class. And then from the age of 2.5, we'll start like baby kids yoga, which is the cutest thing ever. And it has really, like, I had this one client, her daughter was about 7, I think at the time, 6 or 7. And she had ADD. She was incredibly anxious. I think so much pressure, as we said, social media, and other kids are excelling at school. And so she had so much anxiety. She wasn't even eating correctly. And we started doing yoga. And within 2 or 3 weeks, everything changed. her diet opened up. She was eating again. She was doing so good in school. She started doing the breath exercises I would teach her in the middle of class. Like when she noticed that she was getting tense, she would remember and do them. And so for me, it was like, wow, if we could only teach these in the schools, it would change everything. It's normal, you know, to have stage fright. If you're got called on to teach in the front of class, you know, it's normal. We can all look back on those memories of getting shaky and sweating and just wishing that we didn't have to be there. So, you know, and I work with inner city kids as well who grow up in the projects here in California and have really hard upbringings, and teaching this to them has changed the schooling, it's changed the crimes, it's changed so much. Kids can start right now. So if you're a mom watching this, you know, introducing your kids. I do work virtually as well, so I'm happy to like do a virtual class with any of the moms with their kids. I've kind of created the class and done all these animal poses, and we go on a safari, and all the breaths have fun, like bumblebee breath and snake breath and bear breath. So there are things that are fun, and kids enjoy doing it, and it really sticks with them. So I highly recommend.
That is so beautiful. So if there are any mums, fathers, carers out there listening in, if you want to do an online kids course, kids class, and you live in particularly, we have a lot of remote Aboriginal communities here in Australia, that's one great way for anybody to get, if you can't get a yoga teacher in your remote community, you now can. And Arezu, how can they get in contact with you for anyone that wants to really get their children, whether that be a one-on-one session with you, or whether that be a child, like a kids class session at school or a childcare? How can they get in contact with you to do that? Because I think that's going to add so much value and health benefit and help with mental health as a child going forward.
Yes. Thank you. I think email and Instagram are the two best ways to be in touch with me. My Instagram is inspire_zu. The zoo is from my name, Arezu. So inspire_zu on Instagram. And I also share a lot of kids content or my lives and inspirational posts. So you can always hopefully find a source of inspiration on there. And also for more serious, you know, if there's a school that's open to doing it, or a corporate where you work are open to it, you can always email me. It's Arezu, AREZU at InspireZu, InspireZu.com. And either myself or my assistant will get back to you and schedule a private session. And, you know, the good thing with Zoom now is I've been working with clients all over the world where normally that might not have happened. So wherever you live, we can figure out a way to start creating positive habits for you, your family, your kids, your work, anything at all. We forgot to mention, I want to say something. So one of the things that works with the kids and all ages is a special meditation that reverses memory loss. And I just wanted to show for anyone that's watching the video, the brain scan. So it's a special Kundalini meditation that uses mantra and mudras. It's been tested. Also, they've shown like the blood has moved from the frontal cortex of the brain. It's helped with depression, anxiety. It's helped you go deeper into sleep. It's helped your emotions regulate. Really incredible. And I've noticed that with kids, this meditation is incredibly successful because kids are focusing on moving their fingers and saying certain sounds. So all the thoughts in the mind are not overwhelming as much. And for those watching, you can see the before and the after. There's a bit of a glare, but these holes in the brain are those are the dimples of the brain, and so that's where our memory lapse is. And if you see in the after, the holes are all filled up. So just from doing the meditation, you can really boost your cognitive function. You can also see here, it's a hole, and here there's like a crystallized stone, which is your pineal gland. And that's your source of clarity, your intuition. So it literally crystallizes and magnetizes your pineal
That is so important. That is so important. In Australia, in particular, I was looking even in men's health, and in particular, men's has a high rate of mental health issues, particularly in like industries like construction and mining. Even for men or women, like you said, children, it doesn't matter what age you are, but the stress affects the brain. But if we can then cope with stress by the meditation instead of, say, substance abuse, like alcohol, and, you know, people are doing drugs and alcohol and all these things to numb the stress or numb emotional pain. But doing the meditation is such an amazing way. It's free, it's healthy, it's available. If you have your breath, you can de-stress. Like, so the more people can try it and get into it, that's why I'm so excited to share you today, because I learned not from a young age like you about meditation. I really wish I did. It was only I learned about meditation mainly after I burnt out, which often a lot of people discover meditation and the benefits of yoga after you burn out. But I would not wish upon anybody to burn out and then learn the yoga and meditation. If you can actually start as a child or of any age, I just find it is so therapeutic, such a great way to get amazing health. And I know, as well as you, Azu, this COVID-19, normally I would be, if we didn't have COVID-19, I wouldn't be doing the podcast show with you. So this is such a blessing that I get to do it via Zoom with you. I'm actually at home, so I'm able to really stick to my self-discipline, self-care rituals, and really get back into taking care of me, meditation, yoga, journaling, reading books. But I want to ask you, because you love to travel, and before we say goodbye, I have to ask you this. You love to travel. Obviously, at the moment, we can't travel international out of Australia, maybe till not next year. They're predicting maybe March or July. We're going to spend a lot of time at home. However, you've traveled to so many places. Which is one of your favorite places to travel to and do a retreat or a workshop or practice yoga?
That is an amazing question. And that's what really drew me to your page, because from the age of 4, my parents had me traveling all over the world. And I lived in Singapore when I was in university. And I actually lived in India when I was 15 by myself. And I just have such a thirst for travel. You know, when I see a price tag of a bag or anything, I really see it as a flight. And so for me, traveling really has enriched my life, and teaching retreats has been a really amazing way that allows me to travel but justify it as work. India really is like my soul's home, so that's one of my favorite places to go, and I lead retreats there every year. There's music festivals there that I take people to, Holy Festival, the Festival of Color, take people to ashrams, and really there's a retreat that I do that's in the palaces, so it's a really 7-star luxurious experience for people that are apprehensive of seeing India because of, you know, being in a third world country. And I really just try to show that it is so rich, the people are so loving, so warm. So that is one. But just in terms of more like tropical vibes, I've been teaching in Croatia for the last, every summer for the last 3 years on a yacht, which has been so fun and different from what I'm used to. And that's been really something that I'm sad to miss this year. I was supposed to do it in Greece as well. So if you're kind of a water person like you and me, it's been really fun. We sailed through all the islands, and every day we'll stop at a different island. I'll teach yoga in like a beautiful hidden place in nature. And then we'll spend the next day sailing through and stopping at the water. And just a really beautiful way to see a country by water. So that's probably my favorite retreat so far. And Croatia has all the islands that aren't as touristic, have been so gorgeous and so beautiful. I just love going to places that are not so overwhelmed with tourism. Like I went to Burma 10 years ago, I think before the sanctions were removed, and that was super memorable for me. So whenever I go to places that I feel are untouched and so raw, it's really special.
Wow. And you mentioned at the moment you can't travel, you're sad about that. To overcome, say, the sadness or the wanting of, like, you just love doing it. I know what you mean. I love to travel overseas as well, or even just travel in general. But for someone who can't travel at the moment and they're really struggling, what kind of mindset or something they can apply to this? So I often say, now I'm learning patience, or we have the opportunity to learn patience. I know that in time, I don't know when that time is, but in time, at some point in time, I or we in Australia will be able to travel international again. I don't know when. So I've had to adapt that mindset and just be accepting of what it is and be grateful for what I've experienced up until now. Is that kind of like how you're approaching it, like we as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just went to India in February for a month, and I'm just like, okay, you know, I traveled every month all the time. I was on a plane at least once a month. So it's just like, okay, I've been there, done that. I'm super blessed, super grateful. But what does this have to teach me? What is this opportunity that is maybe in my uncomfort zone? And in that uncomfort, how can I grow the most? Life never really goes according to our plan, and it's teaching us to let go of that tight grip of control. And I really, as you said, I'm just, how can I have trust and faith? I don't know. No one knows when borders will open. I have a retreat in March in Tulum that I had to push to November. And who knows if that has to be pushed till, who knows, in 2021. And I have to let go of that. And so it's a practice of surrendering and finding gratitude in this moment. So as you said, I think trust and faith are really my two words that helps me get through life. And just knowing that there's a greater plan, that there's a lesson to be learned in everything, and seeing the blessing in every situation.
Wow. Trust and faith, and then surrendering and letting go. And obviously COVID-19 now, like me, has opened up so many new opportunities. Like we're here today, we're doing the podcast show, I'm interviewing amazing people, sharing words of wisdom to help our listeners. I feel like at the moment, all of the light workers globally have had an opportunity to rise up and to share their gifts of how to cope better with stress, how to feel better through the breath. And everyone, I feel, who's willing to rise up has had an opportunity to learn something new. Would you say it's so important, even when the borders reopen and we can all travel again, that perhaps one of the greatest things I'm learning now during COVID-19 is less is more? Because I was doing way too much, which would catch me even at night trying to do my DMs, trying to respond. It was so like the administration of social media for anyone who's joining in, maybe running a business, a brand, a yoga page, or just has an Instagram account. Like there's so much administration in running it. Are you going to continue to do less, even when you're going to get the opportunity though to do more? Like, what's your plan moving forward? Are you going to try and keep life a lot more simple, a lot more down to earth, a lot more grounding, and try to keep also these connections happening with your community via Zoom, and what's the plans for you moving forward when the borders do reopen?
Yeah, I think less is more has become my slogan as well. And I've had so many friends text me and be like, how are you surviving? You're always everywhere, all over the world. How are you okay? And are you restless? And I've really surprised myself because I didn't realize I was such a homebody. I've never really spent so much time in my own home. And I'm realizing the peace and the blessing in that. And I definitely would not have realized that if I had continued with the 50 retreats and trips that I had planned for this year. So definitely whenever the borders do open back up, I will make sure that when I start scheduling my trips, I'm more mindful of having that downtime, because you and I, even though we can do a million things at once, we're realizing that it's not serving us in the best way possible. And you know, that goes with social media as well. I have all my apps on like a screen time block, so it doesn't let me like spend too much time on there. I think you know, being home, you're just in scrolling and wasting away hours, and you lose track of it. So just, you know, keeping proper habits that are going to help me in the long run. I will definitely continue my weekly Saturday Zoom classes. It's been so wonderful to see how people from like 5 different countries have all joined at the same time, where normally if I taught a class in LA at a studio or my home, it would just be people in LA. So I am going to try to keep that up every week if I can, and just really enjoy the downtime. And when a trip comes up, I think, you know, we maybe took it for granted, and now I will really, really cherish every part of it.
Yeah, I love that. You'll cherish every part of it. And I love how you're going to keep up, if you can, those weekly Zoom classes, because I think it's so nice to be able to use social media and actually socialize. Because I think we missed the very important part, that when these apps were created, they weren't necessarily created so you could, like, yes, the brands want to be able to market and sell, but I felt like before COVID-19, there was a massive shift, like a disconnection with the idea of social media is about socializing with your friends, family, people, like-minded people, socializing, not about like creating a post and what can I get from this? How much money can I make from this? How can this boost my brand, my product, myself? Like, how can I become a bigger public figure? Like, so I kind of feel like COVID-19 has been amazing because it's gotten people back to, this is all just about socializing, having fun, letting go, not being pitch perfect. And I've loved seeing lots of women CEOs come on, no hair, no makeup, in their tracksuit pants, you know, doing lives. And I feel like it's been one of the most coolest things about the app. And what I've loved about the app is it does give us the ability to connect. Because, you know, Arezu, I was just thinking yesterday, when I was a kid, I had to get pen friends. I don't know if you ever experienced this, but in Australia, yeah, pen pals. So in Australia, I had to get pen pals. I'd have to pick like what country I'd like the pen pal from, put my age and everything. Then I'd have to get go to the post office and get a money order, a check money order to send off to America. And then about 3 months later, I would get given who my new pen friends are going to be. Then I'd have to write a letter and then send a little photo of me. Hi, and I've kept all these letters. I have to share more of these letters. But then I'd send this letter off to someone in America, and then I'd get a pen friend letter back, like maybe a month or 2 later, and a little photo. And like, it took months and months and months. And when I tell my little nieces this, they just go, how sad. That is so sad. Like, now they can just make friends instantly. like everything is so instant. We have progressed so far, haven't we? When we look at technology, whilst it's a really big distractor, at the same time, it's a great way to, like you said, to connect with other like people, now people can connect with you, do your yoga classes, meditate with you, and there is some blessings and beautifulness in technology, especially when we're in lockdown and in quarantine. Now, I could talk to you forever, and that's why I called it a talk show, because talk is definitely happening here and a lot of it. But for someone now who's tuning in, feels like they're not coping, feels like they're so uncertain with what is going to come of this COVID-19, they feel really unsettled. If you could give them a mantra or something to powerfully repeat when this anxiety rises up and they're thinking, am I going to lose my job? How am I going to get my money to pay my rent? And it's so overwhelming and they're getting caught up in this fear, anxiety, uncertainty. Can you share a mantra that our listeners could do to ground themselves?
Okay, sure. This is a mantra called It's So Hum. It can be pronounced either way, hum sa or so hum.
So
and
hum.
Basically, and so hum means I am that. And it's kind of this is like a whole nother podcast. I feel like this takes a lot of time to go deep into the spirituality and the meaning of this. I have to head out soon, but
yes,
so hum really, I am that. So it's connecting you to that which is divine. And if people, don't connect with the word God, but they connect with the universe or a higher power, using whatever term your religious belief or whatever feels good to you, you're connecting to that which exists within you. So it's reminding you that, the power of the cosmos exists within you, that the God, that highest being exists within you, and that you are that. And so you can use it with your breath. You can inhale so, exhale hum, like mentally, just inhaling so, hum. And it's a very calming, grounding mantra. It's very simple. I could give you mantras that are like 20 syllables long, but this one is very easy to remember and just really connects you to the divine light that you are. And it reminds you that you're the creator of your reality and that you can surrender and trust and know that life will turn out the way it's meant to be.
Okay, beautiful. So we'll do so hum, which is I am that. So the cosmos is within you, the universe. And if we want to change our thoughts and reality, we should be changing from, instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job, we should be thinking, I'm going to keep my job. Everything is going to be okay. Whatever comes my way, the universe has my back. I'm supported. I am safe. It's going to be okay. Right.
Yes.
That's great words of wisdom. Now, before I say goodbye to everyone who's tuning in, Arezu, how can we stay in contact with you via Instagram and your website?
Yes. So I'll plug it in one more time. Please stay in touch with me. Follow me at InspireZu. And that's my Instagram. I'll share lots of fun things on there, and I'd love for you to send me a message, say hi, and remind me how you listen to this podcast. And my website is the same. It's InspireZu.com. My email is my first name, Arezu, Arezu, at InspireZu.com as well. And yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions, if you want me to send mantras, playlists, songs, yoga practices, if you want to do a private session or anything at all, if you want to join a meditation course, if you're ready to commit to a daily practice, reach out to me. Or if you just want to take a class with me on a Saturday, whatever time that will be for you, it's 11 a.m. Pacific time here in California.
Wow.
So I can't wait to keep connecting with your community and keep showing and seeing how we can keep spreading good vibes. As you said, the conscious movement is really expanding, and we're going through a global reset, a global awakening. People are really prioritizing their self-care. So I'm sure that this will resonate with whoever's listening, and just go for it and make time for yourself, because you are worthy and you deserve it.
I love it. You are worthy and you deserve it. A quote from Arezu, the founder of InspireZu. So thank you, Arezu. Super, super grateful that I got to share your words of wisdom here today on the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast. I would love for all of our listeners to subscribe to the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast on whatever app you're listening to it now. Also to share it with a friend, family member, or a stranger too. And to leave a review and comments on what did you learn today from Arezu and from this podcast show. Are you inspired now to make time for you, to ground yourself, to practice self-care? Are you inspired to learn how to meditate, to practice yoga, and to feel good from within? Leave a rating and review so I can read your comments too. Stay connected with Spirit Girl on our podcast Instagram page, Spirit Girl, and at the website, spiritgirl.com. That's it from Arezu, founder of InspireZu, and from myself, Yvette Blowitz, the podcast host of the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast. We'll see you on the next podcast. I love you all to bits. Have a beautiful day, evening. Namaste. Bye.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.